and welcome to a new episode of the Horror Countdown podcast. I'm your host, Donna Nelly, and today I have two very special guests with me. I have the host of the podcast that wouldn't die, Kevin.
Hey!
And Aaron.
Hey, everyone.
All right. So thank you all both for joining me. I really appreciate you guys being on board to talk about this topic tonight.
Hey,
Thank you
Dawn,
very much for having us.
Dawn, I have a question for you. So we're talking about ghost stories today.
Right.
Do we need to define what is in fact a ghost story? Because I think Kevin has some things on his list that should not be qualifying as ghost stories. What do you think?
So I took it as a literal, it was a person that was once alive and is now dead.
So not demon possession.
Right. My interpretation was it was determined within the film that this was a person that died and has now come back as a ghost and is involved in some form.
All right.
So
That's
Now, here's another question.
Uh-oh.
Here's a question. Does it have to be scary?
No, it's a ghost movie. I mean, unfortunately, my films are horror based, but
Mine also.
The interpretation is up to you. I mean, I would have had no issue including Beetlejuice, but unfortunately, it didn't make my list. If that's the route you're going for.
And that's a demon possession.
No, Beetlejuice is a ghost. They're ghosts. They're the Maylands.
Yeah, that's true.
They count. That was the route I was going for. It's not Beetlejuice himself. It's the other people.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, that was the route I was going for.
Here's the real question. The most romantic movie of our time.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I knew you were going to do this.
Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. They're doing pottery together. Whoopi Goldberg's helping out. I'm just saying, not on my list, but I just wanted to know if that
would have made your list, I probably would have questioned your status as a horror podcaster, but I would have had no interest. I would have had no qualms about including it on the list.
Dawn, I'm frankly shocked it's not number one on his list.
Look, I have many interests.
If that's a spoiler for later on, we'll deal with that when we get there.
Who's to say?
Yeah. So, like I said, if as it turns out, we have plenty of different varieties on what the topic can include. I chose to include it as a specific person that was once dead and is now alive as a spiritual or phantom-like specter. That was my interpretation.
All right.
That works.
All right. So before we get started, go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about your show, what it's about, how you came together, and where we can find it.
Kevin's in charge of all that. Go for it, Kevin.
We are the podcast that wouldn't die. I do my voice, my special presenting voice. Welcome to the podcast that wouldn't die. We are a horror and science fiction podcast. We talk about guilty pleasures, forgotten classics with a comedic twist. So there you go. You can find us on Facebook at the podcast that wouldn't die. You can find us on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Aaron, we're also on Instagram.
Yeah, we're on Instagram. We're the podcast that wouldn't die.
There you go. Good times.
And we're on Twitter. We're the podcast that wouldn't die.
Pretty much, yes. Hey, you can listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, anywhere the finer podcasts are available.
Oh my God. So Kevin is the straight man. He does all the work and the research, and I do the color commentary.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's get started on with our top 10s for right now. Aaron, let's go ahead and give you your first number one.
I'm going to tell you mine are not in any particular order. So I'm just.
That's against the rules. You have to do it. It's a countdown.
All right. The number 10, right? Number 10 is A Christmas Carol. And not Patrick Stewart, not George C. Scott. I'm talking like, I can't think of his name, but somebody like World War II or older. When I was a kid, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come used to scare the hell out of me.
I see.
You
Back
know,
in World War II when you were a kid, is that what you're suggesting?
I mean, the movies from World War II, because there's every year, even the movie Scrooge had the Solid Gold Dancers at doing their version of A Christmas Carol. But the Christmas
Absolutely.
Carol is a cautionary tale. It is scary. It has hope. It has sorrow. It has personal responsibility. It has everything you want in a movie and in a ghost story. Boom.
All right.
Interesting.
That's a pretty interesting choice. I'm only familiar with the most recent one. I think it's the one with
Ryan Reynolds or something.
Kermit.
No, what's his name? Yeah, maybe it is Kermit because I think it's Michael Caine who's Scrooge.
Michael, that's a Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I think that's the one I've seen. Or at least so apparently I need to go back and watch the old ones.
No, we have some brother-in-laws from the UK, and that is like the #1 Christmas Carol in the UK. That's what they all watch at Christmas time.
That version?
They love
Wow.
Michael Caine.
It's all because of Michael Caine, not the Muppets. Get out of here, brother.
I have a hard time keeping track of who's who. So
I know.
All right, so Kevin, you're number 10.
My number 10, and I was thinking about this as I was looking at the list, because I was like, should Phantasm be on my list? But then I realized there's no ghosts in Phantasm like at all. Not even the hint. I don't know why it's called Phantasm, so it can't be Phantasm. My number 10 list or movie is Ju-on the Grudge, which is a Japanese ghost movie that was remade as just The Grudge with Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, a few years ago. But you got to see the original Japanese version. Terrifying, truly terrifying.
I would agree. Both the American and the Japanese are solid, but the original is really good.
I'm saving my thoughts because he's sniped one on my list. So
I'm sniping.
There's going to be some sniping for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll save my thoughts for that, but that's a spoiler alert for later on in my list. My number 10, I kind of went a little indie for my first pick. I'm not sure if most people have seen this. It went kind of under the radar. We Are Still Here.
Ooh.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm going to write it down too.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to have missed it. It's kind of a more atmospheric touch. It's just to set the stage because I'm sure a lot haven't seen it. It concerns a family that moves back to their hometown. There's a tragedy of some sort. I don't remember the details exactly, but there's a lot of abuse in the past, and there's like a big family trauma in the bloodline or whatever. And it turns out that it's related to an incident that was related to the mother of the woman. She ended up causing some kind of tragedy, and it's sort of permeated the house, and it's followed the family now that they're living there. So it kind of touches on a lot of like the art house movements, but the ghosts in here are just my absolute favorites. They are the most terrifying things I've ever seen.
Dynamite.
I wrote it down. That's going to be on our list.
Yeah, the ghosts are, just to give a little mild spoiler, they're portrayed as sort of like burnt ashen figures.
Ooh.
And they leave this sort of like a crimsony trail wherever they go. And they're brutal as hell. When they strike with a vengeance. I'm not entirely sure if you're familiar with an effects artist by the name of Marcus Cook.
No, not at all. Lay it on me.
Okay, so Marcus Cook is the guy that did the effects for Jacob's wife.
Okay.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, yeah. So if you've seen that, you've seen his effects work. He's one of the top indie guys out there, and the ghosts in here are fantastic. The kills are brutal. The atmosphere, it reminds me a lot of the old Fulci films.
We're familiar with Fulci.
Okay, yeah. So
I will be throwing up at some point while I'm watching this movie.
It doesn't go to Fulci's extremes, but it's in that area. I would say like more on Fulci's tamer side, not his extreme gross outs.
More From the Beyond, less zombie.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's not an over the top one, but it's definitely up there. So
Eyeball trauma.
Oh, always the eyeballs.
yeah. But yeah, that's my number 10. Like I said, it's one that kind of went under the radar just because it was an indie and it wasn't a major release. It was kind of, I think it premiered on one of the broadcast channels. It wasn't even on VOD. It went to a broadcast channel and then it went to DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that. So if you can find it, definitely check it down. I highly recommend it.
Beautiful.
All right. Aaron, let's go back to your number 9.
My number 9 is a classic from the 80s. It is the original Poltergeist.
Ooh.
We've got Spielberg, you got face ripping, you got apparitions that can only be seen on video, you have children disappearing into staticky TV streams. That's a classic. That's a classic. You got whole houses being swallowed like in Carrie. It's fantastic. What's not to like?
So much not to like. It's another one that you guys are sniping. You guys are sniping.
That was a snipe for me as well. So we're
Yeah.
going to have to talk about this later more.
Well, I was quite surprised going through my list. There's just not a lot of really good like ghost stories. It's all
Correct.
it's all been taken over by demon possessions. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of good ghost stories. I mean, 13 Ghosts, although I'm sure that's that might be on somebody's list.
Uh-oh.
I haven't revisited recently enough to make a confirmation. I did enjoy it when I first saw it, but I'm not comfortable enough to go further than that.
Yeah.
It's one that I would want to revisit, but I'm not high on it. I've got other stuff to watch.
Right.
You got Matthew Lillard. I mean, it's an all-star cast. F. Murray Abraham's in it, for goodness sake.
There are test patterns I'd rather revisit.
Oh, the devil you say.
All right. Anything else?
I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it's the same thing. Like if you haven't seen Game of Thrones at this point, I'm not holding back. It's just fun and it's Spielberg, so there's all these nods to E.T. in it. I mean, why? It's a brand new development, so there's a dead tree already in your backyard, but you're the developer? What's that about?
Yeah, can't disagree. Kevin, you're number 9.
My number 9 is the original Candyman. And I thought about this because this is, in a way, if Candyman is a ghost story, then isn't Nightmare on Elm Street also a ghost story if you think about it?
Yeah, it's your
Questions
dreams.
to think about.
You're wrong.
But-
you're wrong.
Well, he's back from the grave, right? Anyway, but I didn't pick Nightmare. I picked Candyman, the original,
Candyman,
the OG. Candyman's dynamite. There's just so much good stuff in that one. You've got, she's been accused of the Candyman's crimes. Basically, her crazy husband is just. She gets thrown in the slammer. He's out with some co-ed. It's like, bro, come on. Can't you wait 24 hours? No, not so much. Anyway, good times. Check out Candyman.
All right. For my number 9, I'm also visiting Japan, but I'm not quite going to Ju-on yet. I'm going to one of its contemporaries. I'm selecting Ringu.
Yeah.
Good one. Good
Yeah.
choice.
Can't argue. It's the Ring's on my list too.
Well, finally.
Ring or Ringu?
It don't matter.
This was one of the things I wanted to point out. So I used the title Ringu because I think a lot of people are more familiar with it.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you actually look at the original publication, the original publicity photos, it's always Ring. The American companies put Ringu on it when it came to the shelves. Ringu is actually not the original Japanese title.
So I had to do something to differentiate the two.
Right, yeah. The
All
Ringu,
right.
yeah. When the remake came out, they put the original out as Ringu just to separate them. But yeah, a little bit of trivia for those that aren't familiar with the original publicity photos, the publicity material for it was always Ring. So when the remake came out, the original came out as Ringu just to separate them. But if you've seen that one, that's the film we're talking about. So yeah,
The whole Samira stuff going down.
yeah,
Good stuff.
Yeah, terrifying. I love it. Since that's one's kind of sniped, I figure we'll cut it off there. And Aaron, let's go with your number 8.
Number 8 is Mama. Mama, and I'm not Ma with Octavia Spencer. Mama, dad goes crazy, stock market crash, kills office fellow employees, kills wife, got the girls, driving, crashes, kids find their way to a cabin. Later on, they're discovered, they're like half feral. Who's been taking care of them? How are they still alive? They go into foster care and they seem to be taking orders and communicating with some other spirit. Crazy shit happens. It is creepy as hell. Has kind of a funky ending, but it's very creepy and atmospheric. And you know, kids are creepy to begin with. So, and I'm
Just
a
in
parent,
general.
but little kids doing weird stuff, that's creepy.
Yeah. I really liked it. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think I've only seen it once, but yeah, I really liked it when I first saw it. That's a good choice. Kind of an underrated one. I think it kind of got lost in all that Insidious, Conjuring kind of stuff that came out in the early 2000s.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything came out at once. Kevin hasn't seen it, so I'm forcing him to watch it in the future.
Add it to the list.
All right. So Kevin, you're number 8.
Here's a question, because I think this is a ghost movie, but you guys may disagree. Amityville Horror. Amityville Horror. Now there's voices and you know what's in the basement kind of stuff going on there, but the inciting incident is Ronnie DeFeo murdering his family. So are there the ghosts in the house? It's a question. So in my mind, it's Amityville Horror. You got creepy James Brolin with his Barry Gibb hairstyle and his beard.
Oh, you gotta love those Barry Gibb waves.
You got to. If you want to see multiple scenes of clergy loudly retching, this is the movie for you. Rod Steiger, he has to pull the car over. It's so bad. Let me tell you, dynamite.
I will tell you, this should be voided because this is clearly a demon possession. But at this point, I'm not going to make you go back to the internet. It is scary as hell.
I would probably lean more towards the remake being more of a ghost movie than the original, but I don't really know. I'm fine with it, but I would probably say that the remake is probably more closer to the ghost film than the original, but yeah, I'm fine with that if you guys are. So
I'm fine with it.
I know you're fine with it. I guess I'll give him a break this time.
Okay, yeah, we'll give you one if there's we'll give you guys each one for consistency's sake. If you screw up on 2, we'll cut you on that one.
Or if he puts something like Casper or something on his list, we're gonna have some serious problems.
Spoiler alert.
All right. My number 8. I decided to go with the comedy here. I went with The Frighteners.
Oh, I did like The Frighteners.
Yeah, I think it kind of got overlooked just because a lot of people are kind of wonky on the mid 90s CGI. But I think underneath the story, it's a lot funnier than a lot of people think. The ghosts are great. There's a fun little side mystery involved there with the human killer. And I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had with it. It's a fun ride. I definitely recommend it.
Oh yeah, Michael J. Fox, right? Isn't he in it?
Yeah. He's the main human protagonist. I think Jeffrey Combs has a small role. Dee Wallace is involved in some capacity. If I remember.
Classic.
Yeah.
That's a solid film. I've seen it. It's always on TV, so I've seen it probably a million times.
Yeah, it's a solid. I think it shows up a lot on Sci-Fi or AMC for their Fear Fest on Halloween and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, I like that. That's a good one. I didn't put any comedies. I was trying to find things that either scared me or were creepy, but I guess I shouldn't have narrowed myself.
I felt mine was a little kind of grim, so I picked one.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, I put kind of a fun little comedy in there just to like lighten things up. But
That's a good one.
yeah, Frightener's my number 8. So Aaron, back to you for number 7.
So the number 7, while it is a ghost story, is more of a mystery. And I have chosen a film that I once thought was M. Night Shyamalan, which it apparently is not, and that is The Others.
Oh, love The Others.
The Others is good. You're
you
like,
sniped me.
what's going? Boom. Nicole Kidman is great. You
Yep.
don't know what's going on. You're trying to figure this out. Once again, you got kids doing weird stuff. What do you mean you can't get into the light? Flip your schedule. That's all I kept screaming at the theater. Just flip your schedule. There are people who actually work overnight, you know? But I love The Others.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it was close. It made my honorable mentions actually, rather than my main list, but it was up there. It was floating in that 9 to 10 range for me. I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It is dynamite. It is dynamite. It's a ghost story, but not in the way you think.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. That's one of the things I really like about it. I like that little twist at the end.
Oh my God. And those kids are so creepy as hell.
I hate creepy kids.
Oh, creepy. My favorite scene at the part is at the end when they have that psychic in there and the children are screaming at her, trying to get their messages through. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah. Like I said, it's on my honorable mentions. It was one of my final contenders. So
all right.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Great one. So Kevin, you're number 7.
My number 7 is the Lucio Fulci classic, The Beyond.
The Beyond.
Good time. If you've not seen The Beyond, and I have to be honest, I avoided it for a while there because I saw Zombie way too young and it messed me up. And that's actually not his most disturbing. His most disturbing is a movie called City of the Living Dead or The Gates of Hell. That one, that'll give you nightmares now. You know, you're running for the vomit bag 5 minutes into that bad boy. But The Beyond is actually, I mean, there's a little light eye trauma, but not too bad, right? We
call it Fulci light.
It is Fulci light. It is dynamite. There's a scene at the end of the movie where there's also zombies in this for some bizarre reason. Zombies are attacking the hospital, and the doctor literally pulls a revolver out of his drawer in the hospital. I mean, I know it's New Orleans, but guns, all the doctors are carrying, evidently, at this stage of the game. He becomes Charles Bronson and just starts shooting. Boom, boom. Not even a look of concern on his face. He blows away like a little teenage zombie. I swear she's 12, maybe. Boom. Good Lord. If you've not seen the Beyond, check it out. Dynamite.
New Orleans is a lawless society.
Of course. Why do you think they're the only country that celebrates Mardi Gras? They're the only part of the country that celebrates Mardi Gras. Of course they're lawless.
They're all possessed by their voodoo and all that good stuff. There was a movie I was going to add, but I'm like, voodoo is not a ghost. So out you go. We'll have to do our top 10 voodoo-related movies.
Yeah. I have The Beyond as my second favorite film of all time. But because it's a zombie film, it was kind of like wavering with it. I think just because I look at it more as a zombie film than a ghost movie, I kind of was debating whether or not to put it on my list, but it's my second favorite film of all time. So
love it.
That's strong. That's a strong statement, friend.
Absolutely.
A strong statement.
Well, a stronger statement is the fact that Zombie is my favorite.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Zombie.
I like
Beyond,
Zombie as well.
Zombie and Beyond are my 1 and 2 of all time. So.
So then you've seen City of the Living Dead.
Yeah, that's in my top 15.
Woo! That was a rough sled. That was a rough sled. Oh,
Yeah,
sweet Lord.
Fulci's my favorite director of all time. So.
Oh my. Zombie, I mean, it's a zombie movie, so buckle up. But because you watch Walking Dead, and frankly, Walking Dead is pretty. I mean, that's pretty serious. You know what I mean? Like what's on regular TV these days.
Yeah.
So you think I'm ready? Because I remember watching it in high school at the theater. And it was one of those things where I slept fine, and then like 2 weeks later, I woke up in a sweat, going, oh, "Fuck."
Mm. I mean, I don't know for myself. I would probably say if you've handled what he's shown you in the past with Fulci, I would probably say Zombie's fine, but
We'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, that's my personal taste. If you've handled some of the Fulci's other stuff so far, I wouldn't suggest, I would say try it out. It's not
Right.
it's not his most graphic film. So if you've handled the other stuff, you could probably handle it now. I mean, you've even got more experience now anyways with other gore. So
Oh, true. I watched The Walking Dead for years, so it's
Yeah.
probably the problem is 'cause I've actually seen it twice. Once at the theater, once at the drive-in theater with one of our sisters.
Well, that was when you were 12.
I was not driving to the drive-in when I was 12, so I was clearly like a senior. I probably saw it when I was a junior in high school, and then again like one of those midnight movie things at the drive-in back when we had drive-ins. So I've seen it twice. It's just, it's mostly the eating of the entrails that always give me the old clock to the belly.
Well, look,
Yeah.
there's a scene where the zombie's literally fighting a tiger shark in the ocean.
Oh, that's a classic.
Okay.
Now that doesn't bother me.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
He's a damn genius.
All right. So, I mean, we'll get back on track for.
We got a little derailed with the
That's all right.
talk.
Yeah, Fulci's worth it. So my number 7, I think this is going to be one that I don't know if a lot of people really would consider a ghost movie. I went with The Fog.
Oh,
The Fog. Yes. Ghost movie. I thought about that. That was
Yeah.
going to be on my list. Didn't make
Yeah.
the cut though. Close.
Adrian Barbeau.
Right. I refuse to acknowledge that there's a remake, just FYI. But
Oh my God, can you
So did
believe
the
they
audience.
remade it?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, a classic story. Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins,
Oh yes.
Janet Leigh,
Hal Holbrook.
Hal Holbrook,
Oh,
John
yeah.
Houseman in a memorable opening cameo. Just classic stuff. I love it. It's a fantastic. I think the central ghost story around it is a fun
Plenty
little.
of fun for goofing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a fun little story in the beginning involving the ghost coming back for revenge, striking back the town inhabitants. I think it's a classic ghost story setup. You can you can determine whether or not they're actual ghosts or not, but I think there's enough in there you can probably say whether or not they are. But I'm a huge fan of it. I love the slow burn atmosphere.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it's one of Carpenter's more underrated films. Not his classics, not up to his classics, but I think it's just a solid step down.
So I'm trying to remember. It was like a plague ship showed up to port, and the townspeople turned it away. So on
Well, they were
certain
lepers.
times,
No, that was the sequel. That was the remake. The original, they made the deal, but they screwed them over. They set the lighthouse up on the shore and dragged him into the shore and scuttled the ship.
Oh,
Right.
okay. They were lepers. Is that what
They
it
were
was?
they were lepers. They wanted to
Right.
form a leper colony like in the town or just outside of town. And the town like forefathers, the elders, took the gold and like you said, like washed them up on the rocks, murdered them.
Yeah.
And now they're
Yeah,
back.
I think a lot of people get the setup confused with the remake because that was what the remake did. The original, they played it out as if they were going to help them, but then they took the gold, scuttled the ship, and left them to drown.
Yep.
So,
well, they get what they
one.
get.
exactly, yeah. All right. So Aaron, back to you for number 6.
Stir of Echoes. Kevin Bacon, There's a murder of like a girl with ID hidden in the wall, sending messages to Kevin Bacon. He has to solve it. Ends up being like the kids of his closest friends. It was a scene, but it was good. There were some good moments with that. I think it came like right around The Sixth Sense. So I think a lot of people thought it was maybe like a Sixth Sense ripoff. But I argue it's still really good.
Yeah.
I need to go back and see it, frankly.
Yeah, I gotta revisit it too. I think I saw it maybe the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I love a corpse walled up in a wall. That's always a classic.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
Well, The Telltale Heart.
Yeah.
Telltale Heart. I always get that one confused. Which one's the Mask of Amontillado? Oh, that's the one with the bodies in the wine jar, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. That's Poe, right?
Yeah. I always get those two stories confused.
Telltale Heart, he's under the floorboard.
Yeah, Telltale Heart's under the floorboard. Casket of Amontillado, he's in the wine jar, and then the one in the wall, that's the other one.
The old Hammer films, everybody was getting walled up.
Right.
Because they did all those like Poe remakes and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vincent Price was always shutting up a bad wife or something, or her lover in the wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty standard.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely I gotta revisit Stir of Echoes. It's been a long time because I think I saw it in the mid 2000s, so I'm definitely due for a revisit.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Cool. Well, they say bacon sizzles in it. So. Thank you. I'm here all week.
Dun, dun.
All right. So in honor of that joke, let's give you the honor of number 6.
My number 6 has already been mentioned. It is the immortal Nicole Kidman classic, The Others. Check it out. I love it. It is one of those things. It kind of flew under the radar, but what it really exemplifies in these ghost movies is it's all about setting up the mood. It's all about, the slow burn, punctuated by these like frightening images or these frightening moments. The Others, if you have not seen The Others, stop what you're doing. Pull over the car. Go watch The Others. Check it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a mystery too. That's what I like also.
Yep.
Yeah. Great stuff. I mean, like I said, it just missed my list. It's in my honorable mentions. So yeah, 3 fantastic recommends here. So since we're in the spirit of revealing snipes, my number 6 is Poltergeist. So I guess we each had the sniped film, just a different one. But this is a classic. I always look at this as one of the better mainstream gateway horror films. The face peeling could be a little on the intenser side, but I always say, you're going to get used to that anyways. One scene in a film is not going to bother you.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll get used to it. You know what I'm saying? Children of America shouldn't be getting used to face getting ripped off, but I get your point. I'm
just saying, you're going to get used to, more extreme gore later on. One scene out of, the one scene in a 2-hour film is not going to kill you. But you're going to get a lot of quality elsewhere. And the ghosts are terrifying. The finale in the film is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
You have a fun Spielbergian family dynamic that keeps the first half moving along. Yeah, it's a fantastic film, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So yeah, quality choice.
Great lines too. Like I still say to my class, all are welcome, children.
Yeah. All right. So as we enter the top 5, Aaron, what's your number 5?
The Sixth Sense.
Boom! Snipe!
Oh my God. I must be stupid because I remember getting through this whole thing and not realizing that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. I was like,
spoiler alert.
What? It blew my mind. Other people are like, oh yeah, I figured it out in 5 minutes. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You did not. Literally at the end, I was like, what's happening? And of course, then you get Donnie Wahlberg at his most triumphant right at the beginning. Bang.
Yep.
It was close. I had it just outside my honorable mentions. For me, it kind of falls on rewatch just because I know the twist, and it kind of
yeah.
the rewatches, it kind of falls a little flat for me. But on the first viewing, if I would have only seen it once, I would have put it up there. For me, it's just the rewatches. It kind of kills the intrigue. But if, like I said, if this was a first time watch, I would have put it up there for sure. I had a lot of fun with it the first time I saw it, because I was just like you. I was completely blindsided by it. I had no idea. And then all of the reveals, it just like, whoa.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Back when From the Mind of M. Night Shyamalan meant something.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
I was like, this dude's a genius.
Yep.
But yeah, the problem is it's so good. Everybody talked about it. So you end up watching it and watching it. It's like listening to Kenny G. Eventually there's just too much Kenny G.
True words have never been spoke. I think we can all agree. M. Night Shyamalan, Kenny G, clearly the same. Kenny G.
I saw a documentary on HBO.
I was gonna say, now that's a twist.
No, that's a plot twist. No, never a fan. Never a fan.
All right. So, Kevin, you're number 5.
Here's a plot twist. Mine is The Sixth Sense.
Woo!
Boom shakalaka. I agree. Look, I did not sniff out the twist because you're not looking for that twist.
You take it as it is. You take it as it is. You're not looking for this. So many weird things going on. You're not figuring out your narrator is somebody else, you know?
Right. And it also kind of presupposes that the movie's lousy until the twist occurs, which is not the case. I mean, the movie is good. There's a scene that I always think of where young Hallie Joel Osment was in his little tent in his room, his little fort that he made, and he sees his breath, and which is always the signal that the ghosts are coming. And then he turns around, and then there's the girl like throwing up, like the ghost vomiting girl right behind him. That is a scary scene in that moment. No question. There are a number of those scenes. Now, you could argue it's not necessarily a true horror movie. It's kind of a family drama as well. You know what I mean?
No, you're wrong. It's a horror movie and a family drama.
Well, there's no eye trauma. It's just kind of what I look for.
It's no Fulci.
The twist becomes, oh, this movie sucks. Sad situation.
No, but everybody's just bang. Hallie Joel, the whole time I was watching that movie, I was thinking, when I was that age, I was such a fearful kid. And can you imagine, you want to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and there's like dead people wandering around going to come and talk to you if you leave your room. Oh my God.
For sure. And none of them had heart attacks. It was always like some horrific face injury or body, burns or
Yeah, nobody just died in their sleep. There always had to be like severe facial trauma.
Like Fulci been at them, basically.
Yeah, little Fulci. Like they wrestled the tiger shark.
Yeah.
All right, so I think I'm going to go a little old school with my top 5. I'm going to go with The Innocents.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Do tell.
All right, so this is actually it's an adaptation of The Turn of the Screw, which is basically the same story that was I think it was The Turning.
The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Haunting of Bly Manor.
Netflix.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. But yeah, it's basically the same story as Haunting of Bly Manor. A woman comes out to this estate out in the countryside to take care of these 2 little kids, and comes to suspect that there's the ghost of their former nanny haunting the place. Absolutely fantastic. This is classy, old school, slow burn at its best. I think I want to say it's Deborah Keir. I think this is the girl that plays the main girl. For some reason, I always get the actresses confused in this one, but I want to say it's Deborah Kerr.
From An Affair to Remember, right?
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, this is not like, some, sleazy, raucous kind of just, it's more of like a stately composed kind of like art. It's more of like a statelier, highbrow kind of a film. I love the atmosphere in here. The kids are just creepy as hell because it comes to find out that they actually do have something involved with what's going on, but they try to play it off as everything they're doing is just harmless little jokes. But it's fantastic. The final half to this is amazing, and I don't want to spoil it, but there's some great jump scares in here. It's from the 60s, so don't expect ultra violence, don't expect a lot of, the dirtier kind of tropes. But if you're looking for like a stately, refined kind of, lazy Sunday afternoon kind of a film, this is a fantastic one. And it reminds me a lot of Psycho. It's
Nice.
Yeah,
You're selling it, man.
yeah, it definitely reminds me of that kind of a film. So if that's kind of like your mindset, I can't recommend this enough. This is one of my favorite slow burn films, and one that I always look at as, they were making these long ago, before stuff like Hereditary and It Comes at Night.
All right.
Yeah. They were making these kinds of movies long before, and I always say this one's the best example of that. So definitely give this a look. It's definitely worth the watch.
Does Deborah Kerr wrestle with a tiger shark? Is my question.
Is there eye damage? Is there eye damage?
I can't say for sure. I'm not going to spoil anything, but
I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for sure, but there are some kind of traumatic incidents that do involve some bodily disfigurement. So
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Add it to the list.
I did. I wrote it down.
All right. So Aaron, your number 4.
My number 4 is The Ring. Samira rocking it. I even dressed as Samira for Halloween. I had to teach class with my wig on backwards, covering my entire face. And I didn't do the crab walk in class, but there were some, like suddenly I'm appearing next to people.
You just didn't wash your hair? Samira, is that basically what it was?
I just literally turned the wig around. So it was just straight down.
It's like Malignant.
Oh my God, I love Malignant. Too bad that's not a ghost story. I would have put that on the list. No, but the ring is great. I mean, the kids these days, they can't relate to VCRs. And we were talking about this with somebody, and they're like, no one's scared of a VCR and all that. And I'm like, dude, this could be anything. This could be that spam that comes in your email, and all of a sudden it takes over your computer. Boom. It's whatever your current technology is. It could be the ring. It could be the ring.
That'd be a fun update. Somebody mails you this weird attachment or something, and bam, that's what it is.
Yeah, instead of a ransom spyware, it's Samira coming through your laptop.
Right. Don't click on things you don't remember. It's like, I don't know this. What is a spyware?
That's right. It comes across as an email that says your PayPal has been locked. With like straight PayPal spelled slightly wrong. Don't click it. Exactly right.
Well, instead of PayPal,
from the Nigerian prince.
Instead of PayPal, is PlayPal.
PlayPal. Oh no! I was just ordered something. Let me click on that.
No. 7 days.
Yeah. I really enjoy the remake. It's one of I always look at the remake, the Ring and Grudge remakes as kind of equal. They're both just a notch below the originals. The originals I would say are slightly better. These are just a notch below. Worth your time, but I have other slots to fill on a list like this, but still worthwhile, still definitely worth your time, I would say.
And the whole movie, at least the American movie, shot with like this blue filter. Seattle or wherever it was filmed is just so dark and oppressive. It just sets this just wet, depressing, stressful mood just the whole time. It's like whoosh. The horses jumping off the ferry. I mean, it had good stuff.
Yeah, like I said, they're just a notch below. I have other slots to fill on a list like this, but they're definitely worth your time. I definitely agree. So, Kevin, you're number 4.
Okay. I'm gonna need a judge's ruling on this.
All right.
Because
All right.
I'm not sure about this one. I picked the Babadook.
The Babadook is on my list too. It's number 3 for me.
Is it a ghost story? What's the verdict? That's the question.
I'm not a fan of the film, but
Oh!
Whoa!
I'm not a fan of the film, but I do agree. I think it's close enough. I'm not gonna squiggle on semantics.
Right. Well, it's that because there isn't like, they forgot to move the headstones kind of moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the question. No, we literally the first episode of our podcast we devoted to the Babadook, which we had never seen before. I think it's dynamite.
I think it's dynamite.
Creepy. You got the little Babadook character. You got creepy and crazy kids. And then the
crazy mom.
Right. It takes that turn.
And then the book, I'm like, where do I get a copy of this book? The book was, it was very stylized. I do have to admit, I did have to do some Googling after the movie to fully understand what the hell was going on. But I always recommend it to people because no one's ever heard of it.
Look, if I'm opening up the Babadook book and I'm seeing some of that imagery, I'm returning it to the library. Okay?
Put it in the Dropbox. Put it in the Dropbox.
Right in the Dropbox.
It's fine. I like I like the ideas behind it. I'm just not a fan of the execution. For me, that's just where I fall flat on that one. I like the idea of the book. I like the idea of the mother overcoming her own trauma and her own struggles with everything. I'm torn on the kid. Sometimes I like him. Sometimes I think he's too over the top. But
right,
I can see the appeal to it. It may just have been one where I may not have given it a fair chance. Maybe I need to revisit it. But yeah. I do like parts of it. It's not like I completely hate it, but for me, it was a great setup, just poor execution, I think. But I'm down to give it a rewatch. So I'm definitely down to look at it again.
The twist is a very interesting idea that this is all a manifestation of her issues. Not that that's a spoiler, but
I was just gonna say spoilers.
Spoiler alert. But I was like, what? Yeah, that was. I thought it was fantastic. I guess you can disagree. It is a free country.
I'm saying I'll give it a rewatch. I'll add it next to my Stir of Echoes revisit.
There you go. Double feature.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be a fun night in. So my number 4, I'm going to Asia, but I'm not going to Japan. I'm going to South Korea, and I'm doing A Tale of Two Sisters. So for those that are unfamiliar with this, because I don't think this is kind of a widely known film. It was actually remade as a film called The Uninvited several years ago.
Okay.
So basically, the story with this one is a woman comes out of an insane asylum and goes back to live with her father and his new girlfriend, who turns out to be the nurse for his deceased wife. And along the way, she ends up reconnecting with her sister, who it turns out is just as unstable as she is. There's all kinds of family dynamics going on, and a strangely familiar ghost just keeps popping up all over the place. I'm not gonna reveal much more just because there's a lot of fun twists and turns involved in this one.
All right.
But I really recommend this one. This one is really good. Like I said, for me, the best part of this one is the final 20 minutes, because a lot of what is revealed in those the final 20 minutes are really, really well done. They're kind of, they may seem familiar just because I think a few other films have pulled off the same trick, and to say which ones they were would spoil this one, so I'm not going to say. But if it feels familiar, know that this one did it first, because I think it came out in the height of the J-horror craze. I think it's 2001 or 2002, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So this was like one of the earlier ones to do it. And I've seen a few films that have copied this same trick, but again, the ghost is terrifying in here. There's some great atmosphere, and it's all boosted by this fantastic twist in the finale that it really gives us a great push, and I have a lot of fun with it. It's one of my favorite films.
All right, it's on the list now too, because I did see that while I was doing research. It kept popping up on like greatest ghost stories ever.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of twists in there, and I can't say which films have pulled off. There's other films that have pulled off this similar twist, because I've seen a few films that have done it, and I've seen people comment that, oh, this is the exact same thing as A Tale of Two Sisters, and I say, no, A Tale of Two Sisters is the one that's getting ripped off because that came first.
Yeah.
So this is the one where this is the originator of it. So if it seems familiar, that would probably be why.
So, and it's based upon the novel by Charles Dickens. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
It was the blurst of times.
Those stupid monkeys. All right. So Aaron, your number 3 unfortunately was revealed as the Babadook, correct?
Yep. Number 3 was the Babadook.
All right. Anything else you want to chime in on that, or you good to go?
It just on a different, the book that they use, it was fascinating. I thought that was such a cool look. It kind of, the new Candyman had something, not the same, but the end credits of the new Candyman did these kind of silhouette kind of creatures that tell a story. And the two kind of remind me of like, what a creative, interesting way to progress your story. Those are my 2 cents.
All right. So Kevin, your number 3.
My number 3 has been sniped not once, but twice. It is the immortal classic Poltergeist. I was talking to somebody about this because when it came out, I was a kid at the time, and it was on HBO all the livelong day. So I knew it backwards and front. And you, as a child, you put yourself in the shoes of little Carol Ann and Robbie running, there's ghosts everywhere. What do I do? Now watching it, you put yourself in the shoes of Craig T. Nelson and Joe Beth Williams. And I'm ashamed to admit, I'm at least 10 years older than Craig T. when he was in this movie, which is a sad situation. So it is dynamite. It's got it all. Poltergeist, the original.
100%.
All right. My number 3, I'm staying in North Korea, and this is probably going to be the most off the beaten path one that we're going to reveal tonight. My number 3 is Gonjiam Haunted Asylum.
Ooh,
oh my God.
Never heard of this.
Nice.
Okay. So this one is a found footage film. The format of this is going to be really familiar. So a group of YouTube influencers, they decide to visit the titular asylum. Gonjiam is the name of the location. It's the name of the building. And they decide to investigate the supposed hauntings that have taken place there, and come to find out that the hauntings are true.
Boom.
Yeah, familiar setup, but this absolutely works for me. The final half hour to this is one of the most genuinely unnerving and honest to God terrifying films I've ever watched. This is some of the creepiest imagery I've ever seen committed to film. I have no idea how they pulled some of these tricks off with the ghosts. And one of the things is, and I think, Kevin, you're going to appreciate this because you're a guy that likes eye trauma just like I do. So they have a trick, and they pull it off twice, where because the whole thing is found footage, so they're wearing GoPros. So they go up to somebody and they start talking and they initiate a conversation, and they're freaked out. They're like, what the hell's going on? We got to get out of here. And then all of a sudden, the character that they're talking to in a perfectly calm and natural voice will start responding, only for their eyes mid-sentence to turn completely black within the spade of a second. No change in dialect, in their tone, no change in their face, just whoosh, within the span of a word, their eyes turn completely black. And it is the most genuinely unnerving and terrifying thing I've ever seen. And the rest of the film, it's just creepy. The building is atmospheric. It's dingy. It's dirty. The lights are flickering off. The hallways lead on into the distance and just never seem to end. All that good stuff.
Nice.
It is fantastic. I could not recommend this movie enough.
So you're saying it's better than the Blair Witch, where at the end I was like, what the?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Blair Witch either, but yeah. This is, to me, this is one of the best found footage films of all time. I cannot recommend this enough.
Wait, and better than Cannibal Holocaust?
See, I like Holocaust, but I have a hard time rewatching it. Yeah. And if you've seen it, you know why.
I don't think it's necessary to watch it more than once.
Well, I've only watched it maybe once or twice, and I think that's probably as much as I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, watching it once just to see for yourself, but then just like saying, okay, yeah, I'm good. Just leave it on the shelf and never bother with it. I think that's kind of in my mindset.
Yep.
Yeah. Not a revisit or, one of those, hey, I'm bored, let's just throw this on for shits and giggles kind of a film.
What do you think about this idea? Cannibal Holocaust, the musical. Do you think I could sell that?
Well, if they do Evil Dead, the musical.
They did do Evil Dead, the musical.
That's what I'm saying. If they do that, I can see that. A bunch of people singing, we're going to eat your entrails. We're going to. Ganjam, I cannot recommend this enough. It's a found footage film. It's creepy as hell.
Beautiful.
The ghosts are terrifying. And like I said, it is some of the most genuinely terrifying stuff I've seen recently. So high recommend. I love it.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And like I said, South Korean, just like A Tale of Two Sisters. So you got to deal with subtitles. But if you're fine with that, give it a go.
Absolutely.
All right. So I think we're down to our final gruesome twosome. So Aaron, let's kick off with your number 2.
The Shining.
Boom!
Going off. And I was always very conflicted about The Shining because I'm pro Stephen King and I really loved the book. So for years, I was always very irritated by The Shining. But I've come to terms with it and appreciate it as the masterpiece that it is.
It's a solid watch. I think it's maybe 10 minutes too long, but I don't have too many other complaints other than that. I'd probably put it just outside my top 5 favorite King adaptations. But
whoa! Hit the rewind. It's out of your top 5 of Stephen King adaptations?
That's crazy talk. Let's hear. Let's see what's the countdown.
So my
Dreamcatcher.
So if we're doing that, it would be
Lawnmower Man.
No, it would be It, The Mist. I've always had a thing for The Night Flyer. I don't know if that would be. Okay. I don't know if that would be like maybe number 3, but it would be in there somewhere. I like Christine, and I would probably say Carry Your Silver Bullet. I go back and forth.
Silver Bullet! Whoa!
What? Silver Bullet. I'm a werewolf guy.
It's triggered the vid inside of me.
I don't know. I'm a werewolf guy. I like those kinds of. I'm a werewolf fan. So, I'm not saying it's better than The Shining. I'm saying that would probably be like the bottom of my top 5 would be. It would,
That was like the remake.
That's what it is.
yeah. The bottom 5 of my list would be some sort of Carrie, Silver Bullet, and The Shining.
Okay.
Lordy B. We've got some disagreements going on here. That's for sure.
Hey, you know what? I love Silver Bullet. I'm not gonna lie. You got Gary Busey.
Oh, Jesus
you got
Christ.
Corey Haim at his most triumphant. I mean, it's a classic. But Shining, now here's the thing, and this is true. We've talked about this before. There are people who are of a certain age who are just like, I watch Shining and I find it kind of boring or uninteresting. I think when I was a kid, Shining was the gold standard of terror. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have sweet feelings towards The Shining, but I understand that it's like we were talking to somebody and they were like, Jaws doesn't do it for me. That almost knocked me out of my chair when they said they weren't feeling Jaws.
I know. I wouldn't go in my swimming pool because there's a great white shark in my parents' kidney-shaped swimming pool.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those. It makes you kind of just take a double step back, like, Yeah, I wouldn't be as animated as you would be, but I'm definitely doing a double take on them for saying Jaws doesn't work.
Oh my God! Just the Indianapolis speech. That's worth the whole movie. There, I love when it takes a quick dark turn. It goes from swapping scars to let me tell you a little story.
Dynamite.
Yeah. So, Kevin, your number 2.
My number 2, and this was a hard decision. My top 2, I went back and forth, and I finally settled on The Conjuring.
Oh,
the original
Snipe.
Dynamite. Love. I mean, and I didn't see it in the theater. I remember seeing ads for it, and I was just kind of like, whatever. I saw it for the first time a couple of years ago. I watched it on my iPad in the dark in my bed. Bad move. And it's that thing, and it really brought home that there's something special about just ghost stories. A ghost story done well can conceivably be more terrifying than any other kind of horror movie, because we all live in houses or apartments or whatever. They don't move the headstones is what I want to do. You know what I mean? So Conjuring is dynamite. Awesome.
I consider it one of the 5 best films of the previous decade. I look at it as the gold standard of mainstream horror.
No question.
100%.
I mean, since we're on the subject, that's my number 2.
There we go.
My number 2 is Conjuring. I mean, what more could be said? The story behind it is amazing. The scares are just immaculate. The energy in this is just fantastic. There's like almost no violence in this, and it's one of the most brutal things I've ever seen. There's like almost no literal bloodshed at all, and it's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Yeah, I can't disagree anymore. I mean, it's my number 2, and I still say it's one of the 5 best films of the previous decade. So
I'm sure I wouldn't argue.
Yeah, it's not my number 1, but it's in my conversation as top 5 somewhere in there. So yeah, amazing choice. So I guess it's time for us to go with our top spots. Unfortunately, again, Aaron, that means we know what yours is.
I know. Unfortunately, number 1, The Conjuring. Anytime when you can say based on a true story, that always adds a little bit of sizzle to the story.
Yeah.
Loosely based on a true story. They should put loosely in there always.
Well, let's just say Conjuring 1, amazing. Conjuring 2, still pretty good. Conjuring 3, a bag of shit. And then I don't watch any of the lesser Conjurings. I'm not watching, or the lesser
The extended
Insidious.
universe.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to watch Annabelle or any of that bullshit.
I
But
did-
I was heavily invested in all this poltergeist and telekinesis and ESP when I was in high school. So I'd already heard of the Warrens. They were already on my radar, but I didn't know anything about this movie when I saw it at the theater. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add to that. So, Kevin, you're number one.
My number one, The Shining.
Yeah.
Boom. It's all about the performances. It's Kubrick, it's Jack Nicholson, it is Shelley Duvall, it is the crazy waiter in the bathroom. I corrected them, sir. When my wife tried to stop me from doing my duty, I corrected her as well. Dynamite. Is it are there ghosts? Is he crazy? Is it the psychic abilities of little Danny? Who knows? Maybe it's all of it. It is dynamite.
We were debating this while you were waiting to come on, because
Mm,
is it demonic possession? Is it just ghosts? Is it ghosts feeding off his mental illness? Is he an alcoholic, some psychosis or something? And again, based on like real events in Stephen King's life, the reason he stopped drinking.
yeah.
Jack
Wait a
Nicholson
minute.
is Stephen King.
Right. The alcoholism was based on Stephen King's life. The ghosts and the psychic powers not
Yeah.
based upon
No,
his life.
Yeah,
but
that-
the drinking and then I think he shook his kid or something.
Yeah, I think a lot
Right.
of the family issues were taken straight from his own stories.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It always is a good story when there's a little bit of truth in there. That always
Absolutely.
makes it feel a little realer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big creepy house. I live in an older house, so for sure. I mean, there's people who have died here. There's the idea that ghosts maybe settle in some place that they found happiness in, or maybe where they died. I mean, the place could be chock full. All these big hotels they all have a ghost or two, or so the story goes. That the Hotel
Right.
Del Coronado down in San Diego, all these places have got something. Even here where I live, there's a ghostly handprint on the wood paneling that supposedly they've stripped, they've relacquered, and the handprint keeps coming back.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
So my number one, this was sniped earlier, but we've never really come back around to it. So my number one is Ju-on the Grudge.
Beauty.
You got to do
What
the
I'm
grudge
talking about.
sound. Do the grudge sound. What is it?
You do it. Is it a bad connection or is it the grudge? Who's to say?
Is it AOL dial-up or is it the grudge?
I love this movie. Kayako is one of the most legitimately terrifying figures I've ever seen in the genre. The addition of Toshio and the cat just adds immeasurably to everything. I love the connection the three of them have together. And the way that the ghosts in this film act off of each other by playing in the darkness surrounding each other, where just a small crack in your bed or, wandering around the corner and the ghost is going to leap out of the side and grab you. I think that's just an absolutely a terrifying concept. I don't know how he did it, but this pulls it off, and it's just chilling and terrifying. I love this movie.
Totally terrifying. And there's no escape.
There's no
Exactly.
escape.
It was like,
these
there's
ghosts
nothing
are
you can do.
mean. They're mean. You can't satisfy them. It's not like I'm going to find your body and write the justice. The ghost says, "Fuck you. You're still going to die."
The girl runs back to her apartment and she locks the door and climbs under the covers.
Oh!
Ju-on's crawling under the sheets to get at you.
I mean, oh my God, as a kid, when the sheets would settle on your legs, that's exactly that feeling. Oh!
I made the mistake of watching it in bed the first time.
Ah!
And I
No.
pulled my feet out of the covers so damn quickly. I suffered with, I didn't have the air conditioning then. So I had to suffer in my pajamas in winter watching this movie because
yeah.
I was not putting my feet under the covers after that scene.
Oh,
Don't
crap.
do
I
it.
totally forgot about that part. He
That-
looks under the covers, it's crawling up toward, ah!
Whoa.
I pulled my feet out of the covers so quickly. Yeah, amazing sequence. Yeah.
Dynamite.
Agreed.
So guess that wraps up our episode. Before we go real quickly, honorable mentions that are worth rattling off.
I was thinking about this, and this movie absolutely should have been on my list. At the moment I say I'm not going to do just horror movies, this should have been maybe top 2 or 3, frankly. Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is one of the best
That's where I was going,
comedies of the 80s.
That's where I was
Dynamite.
going. Yeah, I love it. The jokes are amazing. I still don't know. You know, half of the times I still couldn't tell if that's CGI or practical.
Right.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Bill Murray.
Ghostbusters. Bill Murray. That's all you have to say. If Bill Murray's in something, I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, Bill Murray and Dan
Absolutely.
Aykroyd just riffing off of each other. You can't beat it.
I always say there's that. I mean, there's jokes that Bill Murray delivers that you don't even notice the first time. He
Exactly.
walks in and sees possessed Zool, and she's all over him. He's like, "Hey, I guess the flowers worked." It's like,
Exactly.
You're a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, just dynamite. He is
Yeah.
so hilarious.
I was hoping I was trying to serve you guys up for a silver platter on that one, so I'm glad you took it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a sad day when we lose Bill Murray. I'm gonna have to go
Yeah.
into deep mourning.
I
No
don't know if I've
question.
got enough copies of Groundhog Day and Caddyshack to satisfy me.
I just saw him in a movie like last month in November. He's in the French Dispatch, the Wes Anderson.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
there, I'm there.
Yeah. The only one I want to mention, it's kind of again, it's another more of an indie film, but Grave Encounters.
See,
Oh, I
you got
don't
all
know.
these good movies. We gotta check these out, man. Hit me. What's going on with Grave
Okay,
Encounters?
so Grave Encounters is it's sort of similar to Ganjam. A paranormal crew goes into this haunted asylum, and shit goes down.
And the shit goes down.
Yeah. The thing with this one is, this one plays more with time and space dimensions, so it's a little bit more subtle. But I love it because it's one of those where they enter into a room and it's like, wait, where's the way we just came in? And it's bricked off. You know, it's like you walk around and it's like, wait, didn't we just come back that way? Where's the exit? And I thought, wait, no, why is that a brick wall? Or
Right.
one of those, it's like, how long have we been here? My watch says 2 hours. Mine says 5 minutes.
Oh, and I fucking hate mazes. I hate mazes.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I want to know
Yeah.
how the hell I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah. It's another found footage film, but I really enjoy it. It's a fun time. So
Nice.
yeah.
I love those movies where it's like kind of, and you see these in a lot of the Italian movies where it's like, who knows what the hell's going on? There was a door here. Now there's not a door anymore. There's this
Yeah.
movie I saw in the 80s called Demons, where they're in the movie theater and
Mhm.
everybody's slowly getting possessed by the demons and the doors are bricked up. It's like suddenly they can't get out the way they thought they could.
Yeah.
Dynamite, terrifying, and
Yeah.
grisly. Ooh.
Yeah. So I guess that'll wrap it up. But before we go, I just want to say thank you guys again for being here. This was an absolute blast, and I had a lot of fun.
Yay, thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun. It
Thank you
made me
for having
really, I had to go down and really think. I was like, nah, I didn't like that movie that much. What about this one? What about this one? Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, go ahead and give your plugs one last time for the listeners to check you guys out.
We are the podcast that wouldn't die. We are on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, etc., etc., etc. It's horror. It's science fiction sometimes with a comedic twist. You'll love it.
It's mostly horror, but every now and then Kevin feels it's necessary to throw in that. Although we may dip our toe in fantasy because I am going to eventually insist that we discuss Willow.
We might have to do that.
Warwick Davis. Who doesn't love Warwick Davis?
The Leprechaun, for goodness sake. I mean, he's all over the map.
I've never seen a Leprechaun movie.
We reviewed one. So thank you very much.
Did we? I must have just blacked it right out of my mind. Was it Leprechaun in the Hood?
No, we got to do that one too, though.
Did we really do one? I must have really blacked it out.
We did the original Leprechaun with Jennifer Aniston.
Did I like
There you
it?
go. Who's to say?
All right. So if, like I said, for more of this lovely banter, go ahead and follow them. Thank you guys one more time for checking this episode out, and we will see you next time with another topic for you to check out. So until then, see you next time.